I'm going with the Patriots now to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and just got a comment on LeGarrette Blount. It always seems weird saying Blunt at the last name of his, but 4 touchdowns. What a performance to maybe revive his whole career. A great year this year with New England. 7 touchdown rushes on the year and 772 rushing yards. But you got to look at this guy and look back all the way to his years at Oregon. Finished his senior year by punching a Boise State player in a brawl, and it seemed like his whole career in football was kind of over from that point. Just hit a really hard wall and was suspended for almost all of their games, I believe, that year. And his reputation was just shattered from that point on. He was then undrafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had an average rookie season. Not average. He had a very good rookie season. Had 6 touchdowns and 1,000 yards rushing. And that kind of got you started. Wow, he might be able to play in the NFL, but then he struggled in 11 and 12 with the Bucks and then was released. And now he's kind of revived his career and his whole reputation playing so well in the postseason for that team. And just giving my shout out to LeGarrette Blount on that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. LeGarrette Blount is phenomenal. And as you said, 2011, he had about the same year as he had this year, but the difference is he was the premier running back. He had games where he would get so many carries, like 18 carries, 74 yards. He had 11 carries one game for 19 yards. He just didn't play well enough. And this year, you come into 2013, the third string running back, first couple of games, 7 carries, 4 carries, and you get 14 for only 65 the whole year. Can't crack 100. And then, in the last week of the year, he turned it on. 24 carries, 189 yards. 2 touchdowns. Then he comes in the postseason against Indianapolis, 166 and 4 touchdowns. This guy is playing out of his mind right now. He just turned it on. He turned it on and decided that he was going to play, and he was going to play well. And LeGarrette Blount, I congratulate you. You may be one of the biggest difference makers now in the playoffs. And that's big news for him, especially since his troubled career, hasn't gotten off on the best foot.
Oh, I gotta agree with you there. So, now with the number 2 seeded Patriots winning, they're probably gonna play at Denver, who's leading right now, versus the 6 seed San Diego Chargers. And that would set up the 15th Brady Manning Bowl on January 19th. I like Tom Brady's arm better in the cold, plus I favor the Super Bowl winning drought. But what do you think about that matchup right there? All the trouble the Pats have had. And if you actually remember, I'm gonna play it back if the Pats end up winning the Super Bowl, but at sports broadcasting camp this summer at UCLA, I actually predicted that the Pats would win the Super Bowl. I know it's way back when. I did predict the Broncos for my pre-playoff predictions, but way back when I did predict the Patriots because they're always a team that plays really well when controversy hits them in the summer before football actually starts getting played. Obviously, Aaron Hernandez, all that trouble. Rob Gronkowski was injured throughout the season. Everybody stepped up. And this is a legit team led by Tom Brady, arguably the best postseason quarterback of all time. But Noah, what do you think about this team's chances of winning the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I thought the Patriots were going to be bad. I thought that they were going to be overrated. I thought that without the 2 tight ends, they wouldn't be able to do it. But Bill Belichick continues to impress me. Second best coach in history, in my opinion, behind Vince Lombardi. He really looked at this team and said, look, we don't have 2 tight ends. We won't have a tight end till late. Even when they lost Gronk, they knew how to change their strategy. They knew who to go to. People stepped up. And even when Brady didn't have a great year, you know what they did? They ran the ball. This is a team that revolves around the pass, and they added a new dimension to this team. Look, this team has a great shot at winning the Super Bowl. As long as you have Tom Brady as your quarterback, as long as you have Bill Belichick as your coach, you have a great shot because they have a running game. They have Julian Edelman, who's having a breakout year. And even Amendola, who didn't have the greatest year, he can make big plays as well. I like the Patriots' chance, and personally, I think they're going to come out of the game against the Broncos because, look, it's Peyton Manning. He's a great playoff quarterback, he's a great playoff quarterback statistically, but his team can't win. And it's not because of him. I expect him to play lights out. I expect him to play phenomenally. But that defense is horrible. Let me just say that defense is bad. That defense does not have enough, in my opinion, to hold back a team that just put up 43 on Indy. Indy and Denver, they have about the same level of defense. You cannot allow Tom Brady to put up 43 on you. You will not make it out of that game.
Very good points there, Noah, on the Patriots. Now we got to go over to our last game that was played yesterday, the earliest game, which ended very controversially with Marquise Colston throwing the ball forward when they still had 6 seconds left. The Saints ended up losing that one to the Seahawks, who pulled it out 23-15 at home. They'll be hosting the Niners in what's going to be a rematch of some great games played this season for those two NFC West teams. But now it's going to be the Seahawks making that championship game and maybe making the Super Bowl with that home field advantage. Just got to credit this team. A great 1-2 punch with Colin. Oh, man, I was about to say Colin Kaepernick. Sorry about that one. Great 1-2 punch with obviously Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch, who have been just incredible the last 2 years. Obviously, Wilson has won the most home games ever in his first 2 seasons at quarterback. Also got one of the most victories in his first 2 seasons, along with Ben Roethlisberger, who did that with the Pittsburgh Steelers a few years ago. But what do you have to say about this team, which kind of came out of nowhere last season, ended up getting a victory over the Redskins, then dropping a one that I believe they should have won over the Falcons back when in Atlanta. But now this team has motivation. They've lost a game in the playoffs, like you said, with the Panthers, and now they're looking like a really, really good Super Bowl contender. Obviously, they did in the regular season look like one of the most legit teams the whole year, maybe even the best team, most consistent, obviously, defensively and offensively. But what do you have to say about this team?
Well, let me say this. Pete Carroll is 100% correct when he says this team has no holes in its defense. This is one of the best defenses we have seen ever. This defense is insane. Problem? Well, it's kind of their offense. Their offense is good. Don't get me wrong. I think Marshawn Lynch is a phenomenal running back. I think Russell Wilson is a great quarterback. But they are going up against New Orleans, and for the record, New Orleans is not a great team defensively. They are great against the pass, but against the rushing game, they're 19th. They allow about 112 yards a game. Rushing the ball, Seattle had a good game, 174 yards rushing. But they just couldn't get it done. They were kicking field goals. You can't win only on field goals. They had what? They had on 4 opportunities. They ended up with 16 points. That's 4 points per possession. You give that to a team like the Patriots, like the Broncos, that will get opportunities. Their 4 opportunities, I can guarantee you they will do better. The fourth, and then the second half, only able to put up a touchdown. That's it. You got to do better than that. It's got to be more consistent. I understand they came out of this game the winner, but they almost gave the game back to New Orleans. New Orleans had more first downs than Seattle. Seattle only had 13 first downs to New Orleans' 25. Look, Seattle, you're a great defensive team, but you have to make sure you close out games. They almost gave it away. Marcus Colston steps out of bounds there. The Saints have 1 or 2 shots possibly to get it downfield and possibly win the game.
Yeah.
Or to tie it. It would be to tie it. The Seattle Seahawks have to learn how to close it out. Otherwise, I can't see them winning it. Right now they're the favorite, but closing it out is very important in the playoffs.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, Marshawn Lynch eclipsed the 130 rushing yards mark for the 3rd time in his postseason career, and only Terrell Davis and Thurman Thomas have had more 130-yard plus games since the current playoff format started in 1990. So very impressive numbers for Lynch there. Obviously, his 2nd victory in the playoffs versus the Saints at home. We all remember the game way back when the Saints were coming off their Super Bowl championship, and just the amazing performance he put up for a 7-9 Seahawks team to upset the Saints back then. Seahawks get the victory and just dominate the Saints once more. 3-0 in the past few seasons versus that team. Also, got to ask you about the health of Percy Harvin. I thought he had an immediate concussion after that early hit on the first drive of the game. He finished with 3 receptions for 21 yards in the first half and 1 rush for 9 yards, but left the game late in the first half with a concussion, as I predicted. What do you think about his chances of being an X factor in that game versus the 49ers, or will he even play?
Well, look, Percy Harvin, I thought that he was done as well. Then I got a Twitter update from John Clayton saying that he was returning. He had a tough game, but he suffered an injury again, and he was unable to return to the game. Right now, we don't know whether or not he will be able to play in the game against the Niners. Actually, unfortunately, we'll probably get an announcement by Thursday or probably around Wednesday. But tough year for him, riddled by injuries. And then comes back, finally, looks pretty good. He actually made a couple of good catches, and then gets wrecked. He comes out of the game, and you think he's done. Comes back into the game, and he gets hurt again. This time not getting wrecked, just more of a light hit, but he ends up getting injured again. Tough year for Percy Harvin. I hope he's fine. But I have all the sympathy. I hope Percy Harvin comes back because he is a big difference maker for this Seattle team.
Yeah, absolutely got to agree with you there. So that is our NFL segment. Lots of stuff to talk about there. Obviously, we have a game going on right now. Noah, what's the score? Just update us.
Oh, it's 14-0, but Broncos driving again. Chargers, this is the 2-minute warning. Chargers, I'm sorry. At this point, you guys are not playing at the level they need to. It's going to be 21-0 probably, or 17-0. The Chargers just can't seem to score. They had a comeback last week, but this is a much better Broncos team. Peyton Manning, congratulations, you are finally not a one-and-done quarterback for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to go on to our next commercial, second of the day. So many callers in today, already 4. Great job, guys. Keep on calling in and sharing your opinions. Next, we're going to be talking about the NBA and if the Luol Deng trade was a good or bad thing for the Bulls. Next up on the Blake and Noah Show.
Your presentation of national sports is brought to you by Spreaker.com. Broadcast and listen to news, radio, and music with one low monthly rate. Your show will be right back after this word from your local stations. You can contact National Sports in a number of ways through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the label National Sports. We love to have you guys a part of our show and can easily join us also through text or call. You're listening to the National Sports radio station on Spreaker.com. America's pastime of baseball is changing as we know it into a sport we've never seen before. Where is the game headed in the next few years? Major League correspondent Cameron Sadeghi has the answer to that question next on the National Sports radio station from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Sam Rosen, and I'm here with Sam's Situation.
Good afternoon and welcome into the corner. It's Chris's Corner here on Spreaker.com, a national sports affiliate.
Hello and welcome to the Cameron Sadeghi Show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Deep Sports Talkery. This is affiliated with National Sports.
Cameron Sadeghi, Chris Sylvester, Sam Rosen, Andrew Goldstein, Daniel Levy, and the entire broadcast crew with Commissioner Robert Dieters. You are live from National Sports Radio Station in Los Angeles, California.
Well, now, welcome back on to the Blake and Noah Show, episode 20 here, hitting the milestone mark. New year, 2014, but lots to talk about in sports. We've already covered NFL and college football. We've already had 4 guest callers trying to eclipse that record. And then we also now have 183 likes on Facebook. Keep on liking our page and inviting new friends to like it. Thank you so much. Now, we're going to go on and talk about NBA. So much exciting news, some trades going on. And Noah is just dying to talk about the Luol Deng trade. Noah, take it away and talk about this trade.
Well, Luol Deng to the Cavs. I think people should see that coming. They announced that this was their plan, especially after some big news. So, all the Bulls fans now, we want Luol Deng. Well, I'm not willing to pay him $10 million a year. And he says now that he didn't want $15 or $16 million a year, but I think he did. Honestly, I think we're end up better now. Look, we've won the past 3 games, and I know, but you can't say, well, losing a better player, that's not going to happen. We're just playing against worse teams, and I agree. But this is a team that now freed up a lot of cap room. And just to walk you through the financial side, they now have $20.6 million in cap room, and they are dipping below the luxury tax. If you don't know what that means, when you dip below the luxury tax, you also gain basically a bonus from the teams that went above the luxury tax, such as the New York Knicks, the LA Lakers that are always above the tax. They gain $2 to $3 million extra in spending money. So they've basically freed up $22 to $23 million, or almost 24 in cap room. That's enough to sign a Melo, possibly a $4 million or $2 million players. Or you can go out and sign a Gordon Hayward for around $10 mil and end up having $14 mil for 2 other $7 mil players, or a $7 mil, a $4 mil, and a $3 mil. It just opens up a lot of different possibilities. So the draft picks, they might not even get a first-round draft pick out of any of those. because the swap is a lottery protected pick. The Kings is a top 10 protected pick, and how they're going, they'll probably